Welcome, and here we go again. Now, many of you may know that recently, this week, it was announced that there would be a series of audio adventures starring David Bradley as the First Doctor. Now, many of you may know, who have been watching, and are Doctor Who fans, may know that the Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time, will feature David Bradley as the First Doctor. He's now been confirmed for some audio adventures. Of course, I'm delighted about that, and I'll probably get to do a review of that early next year. So I thought I'd introduce a selection of Big Finish videos. It's a very special month on the channel. Next month I'll reveal more about that in an upcoming video later in the month. But now I'm going to be discussing the Big Finish audio dramas. So these are a selection that I have on CD. I have more, but that's just a handful of them. And now I've got here some of my favourite stories, my top 5 stories I've listened to so far, and of course I'm going to listen to many more, so I'll let you know whether there's been any updates in a future video. And number 5 is actually one I've got on CD. Now, I would usually download Big Finish audio dramas because usually they're a bit of a reduced price. So I got this one on CD, and the Big Finish CDs come with a free download. Or a lot of them do, at least. So, this one's Terra Firma, and it's starring Paul McGann as the 8th Doctor, who is brilliant on audio. It's brilliant to see more from the 8th Doctor, and I've got a couple on here from the 8th Doctor, because it's just great to expand his era, and he's perhaps the best Doctor on audio. He is brilliant on audio, and it's fascinating to see what he can do. Charlotte Pollard goes brilliant with Paul McGann, played by India Fisher. You may know her as the voice of MasterChef, you know, the soothing voice. Hello. But Terra Firma is a brilliant release. It's got Daleks, it's got Davros, and it's a very interesting one, and it was the first Big Finish audio I listened to, so that means it has to go highly in my chart. And number 4 comes a release from a couple of years ago that was on sale recently because it was a listener's title. It was the introduction to Nicola Walker as Liv Chenka, and it is Robophobia. I love Robophobia. It's a brilliant release, starring Sylvester McCoy, and of course Walker is there as well as the audio companion Liv. It's a great follow-up, sort of a sequel to The Robots of Death. And yeah, it's sort of like a murder mystery sort of thing. A bit like The Robots of Death, so it's got a really interesting plot. I don't own that on CD, but I listened to it via download, because the download was at $2.99 for the listener's title that they do every month. So if you're a Big Finish fan, stay tuned to the Big Finish website for Doctor Who or non-Doctor Who listeners' titles, which I would usually get. This month it was The Company of Friends. I've also purchased that. So yeah, it's very interesting to see Robophobia, and I really enjoyed this story. Again, Sylvester McCoy is really good on audios. And number 3 is for another Doctor that I think had a brilliant extension. Now, I'm not counting box sets I've listened to here. Obviously, there's things like the 10th Doctor Adventures that would get close to it, but obviously it's not in that category. It's in sort of other main range mainly releases. And this release is Jubilee, so it's for Colin Baker. who I think some people think wasn't really written well and didn't have great stories, and I agree with that remark. And he was much better written, he was given much better stories on Big Finish, he's really good on them. It's time to give him a second chance. So if you hated the Colin Baker stories, then I'd give a Jubilee or one of the other stories with Colin Baker a go, because he's really good on these audios. It's a really great second chance for him. And number 2 comes one I only listened to a couple of months ago, and it's one that's quite an acclaimed one. It came out on vinyl a few years ago, and both of the top 2 came out on vinyl recently, but this one was Spare Parts at number 2. It's a Peter Davison one, and it's fantastic, really, in the Ninth Doctor's words. It's a brilliant sort of Genesis of the Cyberman story. I know we recently had Genesis of the Cyberman story with World Enough and Time the Doctor Falls. You can see my review on that on First Opinion. But this story is brilliant. I know both of these origin stories are absolutely fantastic, and it's better than most Doctor Who stories. It's absolutely fantastic. Now at number 1 comes my favourite Big Finish story. I mean, Spare Parts comes very close, but Chimes of Midnight is a fantastic, nice little, another sort of murder mystery, sort of quite creepy, sort of atmospheric story. And it's very festive and Christmassy, so it's nice to have a sort of dark, festive story. And, you know, it's a brilliant Christmas special. I would go as far to say as it's probably the best Doctor Who related Christmas special of all time. So I definitely recommend you listen to that, because I was so impressed with this story, and it's by far, well, not by far, but my favourite that I've listened to so far, and I can't see anything that has been released yet that could possibly beat it, at least what I've heard. So you know, it's time to give some more Big Finishes a go, and I give them a go if you haven't already. So thank you for tuning in today. What are your favourite Big Finish stories? Please comment below, and I'll probably link the Big Finish website in the show notes, so you can find all of these releases. And until next time, I will be back again on Wednesday for Modern Who series ranking on Series 8. But now it leaves me to say I'll see you next time, same space. Goodbye!